At 9:47 p.m., a businessman from New Zealand sat down at a blackjack table. By sunrise, he had won $32 million. Security reviewed every angle, every shuffle, every motion, and nothing explained how he did it, until one technician zoomed in and saw something inside the man's right ear. This happened in February 2013, inside Crown Casino in Melbourne, Australia, the largest casino in the country. More than 200,000 square feet of gaming space, rows of high-limit tables, and a surveillance system that had never been beaten in 20 years of operation. The man at the center of the story was James, a 46-year-old investor from Auckland who loved high-stakes blackjack. Crown considered him a valuable guest, enough so that, 3 days earlier, he had received a call from their VIP services team inviting him to stay in one of their Horizon suites and gamble in the exclusive Mahogany area. First-class travel arranged, private villa included, credit line waiting. James accepted immediately. He already knew why he was going. The Mahogany gaming floor inside Crown Tower is designed to make wealthy players forget the outside world. Soft lighting over dark wood tables, leather seating, crystal glasses, no noise from the main floor, minimum bets starting in the hundreds. No cameras visible to the guests, but more watching them than any other room in the country. James arrived on February 13, escorted straight from check-in to his private host, a woman in her early 30s assigned to manage his stay. Her real name never appears in any public document. Crown fired her 2 days after the incident and sealed her records. We will call her Emily. Emily was not simply a host. She had spent months observing the room from inside. She learned which cameras overlapped, which didn't, and when surveillance operators swapped stations. She also learned a detail that few employees ever noticed. Although Crown's cameras were high resolution and heavily monitored, their wireless feed system was not entirely closed. If someone understood the frequencies, the handshake codes, and the packet structure, the feed could be intercepted. Emily provided that information to James. James provided the plan, and someone waiting outside the casino provided the execution. About 2 kilometers from Crown, in a rented apartment overlooking the Docklands, a young man sat behind 3 monitors. Investigators later estimated he was in his mid-20s, with a background in computer networking. He stayed anonymous throughout the entire case. He had real-time access to Crown's internal camera streams. Camera 260, overhead, dealer view. Camera 261, dealer's hands and chips. Camera 262, the full table. He could see the dealer's hidden card every hand. He could read chip placements before James made a move, and he could send a whisper-short instruction through a tiny earpiece inside James's right ear. The system worked like this. James placed his bet. The operator viewed the dealer's hole card. He sent 1 or 2 words. James followed them immediately. Blackjack with full information is not gambling. It is controlled calculation. February 15, 9:47 p.m. James sat at table 5 in the Mahogany section, ordered a drink, and began playing at a rhythm that looked perfectly normal. $50,000 bets. Some wins, some losses, nothing unusual. At 10:21, the operator sent the first major signal. You have the edge. James pushed $400,000 forward. The dealer showed a 10. James held 16, a terrible hand. He stood without hesitation. The dealer drew up to 15, then pulled a 10, busting out. James won instantly. The surveillance team reviewed the decision. Risky, but not impossible. No reason to interrupt a high-value guest. James returned to safe mid-range bets, blending perfectly with the room. By 2:30 in the morning, James's win count passed $2.5 million. And then the entire scheme nearly collapsed. At 2:34 a.m., Crown performed a routine wireless sweep to check for interference. The sweep jammed the intercepted signal for 10 seconds. The operator lost all camera access. The earpiece went silent. James already had $85,000 positioned. He had no signal, no information, no time to think. He followed basic strategy and hit. He pulled a 9. He busted the hand. The pit boss, watching the table, relaxed slightly. Finally, a loss. 10 seconds later, the operator regained the feed. The breach continued. Ironically, that single loss made James's record look far more human, and almost certainly prevented early intervention. Over 10 hours, James played more than 340 hands. 8 of them involved massive bets timed precisely by the operator. A stand on 13 against a dealer 10. A double down risking more than $1 million. A hit on 17 that should destroy any ordinary player. Each move appeared reckless. Each one succeeded. The 8 high-impact hands produced over $5.5 million in profit. The remaining hands, played with the hidden advantage of knowing the dealer's card, quietly produced the rest. A small percentage edge multiplied hundreds of times becomes enormous. By 7:47 a.m., James's tracked winnings reached $32 million. From Crown's perspective, he was the luckiest man they had ever hosted. From a technical standpoint, he had just executed the most sophisticated cheating operation the casino had ever recorded. Inside the surveillance command room, Mark Henson, a senior technician with 11 years of experience, reviewed the flagged hands. One detail caught his attention. James occasionally touched his right ear. Not enough to be obvious, just enough to repeat. Henson zoomed in. Inside the shadow of James's ear canal, he spotted a thin beige device no larger than a fingernail. He checked network logs and found multiple unauthorized wireless accesses to camera streams, all time-stamped during James's major wins. At 5:59 a.m., Henson called the head of security. At 6:15, James's account was frozen. Security knocked on his villa door minutes later. James was with his wife and 2 children. They believed he had won legitimately. They were already discussing breakfast and plans for the day. 6 former military guards escorted him to a secure room inside the casino. Not a police station. Casinos handle problems privately before anyone else gets involved. They questioned him about the earpiece, the improbable decisions, and the network breach. James denied everything and requested legal representation. And there was one complication. He had not cashed a single chip. Legally, the money still belonged to Crown. He asked if he was under arrest. They said no. He asked to leave. By 7 a.m., James and his family exited through a service corridor, banned permanently. No charges filed, no payout given. Crown now had a problem no casino wanted, admitting publicly that its surveillance system had been compromised. They chose silence. On that same morning, Crown had scheduled a promotional event, a luxury cocktail valued at $12,500, prepared with rare cognac from 1858. Media crews were already on site to film it. James had been chosen to appear in the recording, but now he was gone. Canceling the segment would raise questions. So Crown quietly asked another guest to order the drink on camera. After filming, they refunded his entire payment. The promotion continued as planned. No one outside the casino learned what had happened hours earlier. James never received $1. The operator was never found. Emily disappeared completely after her dismissal. And Crown Casino has never publicly acknowledged the breach that produced one of the largest single-night cheating attempts in Australian gambling history.